were doing. We didn't have to do anything in the Congo, and then so we bounced. Went to some cool places. It became like a little limo cruise after that. So we would hit. I went to a bunch of countries. I went to Greece, France, Italy, Spain. We were all over the Mediterranean, and it was just it was awesome seeing that. If I would have just stayed, most people that I grew up with, my family included, they went from like Greensboro, North Carolina, to like we're going to Myrtle Beach. Like that's like the pinnacle of travel. And if you're really getting crazy, you might go down to Daytona, Florida, and if you're really going wild, you may go to Disney. Like that's kind of it. So it's for getting to go all those places and eat some of the food and have some of the experiences and everything else. Like I turned 18 right before we left on float. We were doing what's called Truex. I was the youngest Marine my first year in the Marine Corps, and I was the youngest Marine the second. The second wasn't really fair. I cheated because we were on float, out in the Mediterranean when the Marine Corps birthday came along, and so it was the same people that we were with. We didn't get anybody new, so there was nobody younger than me. So I was the youngest Marine 2 years in a row. So I got to go eat cake and everything. With the sergeant major of the MEU. The MEU sergeant major was the oldest Marine out there with us, so I got to go to the officers' mess and the wardroom and eat with all them and stuff. And that was an interesting experience. He told me a story about how he was getting messed with when he first got to the fleet as a young private back in the '60s, and he needed to. He went around all over the base trying to find asbestos suits because he was going to pull targets for flamethrowers, and he thought he was going to pull targets for flames, and he had to wear fireproof material or something. And that doesn't exist, but it was a pretty funny story. He was a cool guy. But I guess that's another thing that I haven't told that story probably ever, but maybe I have. I know I've told some friends, but when I was 17. In New Orleans is where we did Truex. We had all these breweries that are shut down in New Orleans. They're not brewing beer anymore or whatever else. So we used all those to set up hostage rescue scenarios, and we would play out this whole event for a week. We were down here for almost a month, and it seemed like, but we had all these events that would go over multiple days. And as soon as we did our operation and went out and rescued the hostages, we would start another one like the next day. And so we did like 3 or 4 of these down there. And a lot of the New Orleans people were like, "Why are they here? What's going on?" We were in schools. We accidentally landed our helicopter insertion into a school that was an active school. It was by accident.
Scared the hell out of them.
We did scare some kids and some teachers. They didn't know what was going on, so we made a big apology to that. And we had a big major event downtown. Where they had static display, like all of our weapons, and we had helicopters, and we had aircraft flying over, and we were spy rigging, like hanging from the bottom of helicopters and fast roping and stuff, and just putting on a show for everybody, and they loved it. And then we had one more mission that we were working after that, and we got a little bit of time we got 2 nights where we can go out for Liberty, and I didn't get paid for 2 months. Like I just got no pay dues. Like for some reason I wasn't getting paid.
That's fun.
And we were away from the head shed, away from Lejeune, so I couldn't really get any work done. And we didn't have all this internet stuff and everything now. This was 97, and it wasn't like it is now. And so they could not figure out what's wrong with my pay. And I just hadn't had any money going to my bank account for a long time. And they found out when I was there that I got actually put on a hard check system. But for some reason I wasn't getting these hard checks. I finally ended up getting handed like 4 hard checks, and I thought I was a bazillionaire, but I was really like a thousandaire. But I thought I was rich, and but I didn't have any money when we were going to New Orleans, and I'm like, I'm in New Orleans, man. I want to go to Bourbon Street. I want to have fun, and it wasn't like Mardi Gras time or anything, but still Bourbon Street. I wanted to get out there, so I was doing fire watch for people, and getting them pay me $20, pay me $10, whatever, to take their fire watch so they could go out. So the first night everybody goes out, and I don't go out. I'm just doing fire watch because I'm trying to get a little bit of money to go out and have some fun on. And nobody else. It ain't like my friends can borrow money because they're as poor as I am.
Yeah.
They've been getting paid. It's gone the day after they get paid anyway. So it's
got to pay for that Mustang.
You know how that works, right? Like beer, tobacco, Mustang, and whatever.
Stripper.
And I gave it all to Tiffany. She loves me, man. But anyway, I'm sitting here. I just took somebody's fire watch because I was going to go out a little bit later on. There was like 3 different sticks of buses going to Bourbon Street, and I was going to take one more fire watch, and so I had just started it, and I had I think I had like 60, $70 or something, and because I needed to buy some stuff from the PX too with this money, because I was out of toiletries and all kind of stuff, so. And I wasn't about to ask staff sergeant or lieutenant, for money, that's just not going to happen. There's no way. And Barry Elrod, Cooper, a couple other guys, Force Recon guys, came in the room with a 6-pack of PBR, and in our barracks. They had never been over into our little barracks room in New Orleans. We were staying at Biloxi Air Force Base in
Barksdale.
In Mississippi.
Oh, Mississippi. I don't know.
We're right across the bridge from New Orleans, and I think it was Biloxi. I can't remember. Anyway, they said, here's a 6-pack, and I'm like, I'm on Firewatch, man. And they're like, nope, so and so is going to stay in your Firewatch. So a Force Recon cat takes my Firewatch. I'm getting chills right now. Takes my Firewatch. They had this what they called their alternate means of transportation. So they had to bring all their gear down there. So they Force Recon does what they want. So they created an excuse to drive a Ryder truck from Lejeune down to New Orleans with all their weapons and everything in it, so they don't have to fly.
And like 10 dudes stuffed in the back of it.
Yeah, so most of us flew the C-130 there, and we all dismounted. And we took over the airfield. It was part of our op. But some of the guys drove from Lejeune down there, and they towed this little 4-cylinder garbage like Toyota Corolla or something. And so they're like, we don't need a bus. We're taking the alternate means of transportation. And so they're like, hey, make sure that 6-pack's gone by the time we get there. And so-and-so's got your Firewatch. And I'm like, well, I don't have any money, man. And like, it's your birthday. You don't need any money. I don't even know how these guys knew it was my birthday. I didn't tell them, And I'm drinking. I got 6 beers done by the time we get to Bourbon Street. Somebody bounced in the car because they had to bring it back. They were just dropping us off. And next thing I know, I'm being held upside down, drinking hurricanes through straws at Razoo's. I'm seeing the prettiest girls I've ever seen in my life that are probably like trashy, ugly, but I don't know. I remember it differently.
You're drunk, so it's good.
Yeah, it was a good time. And so I turned 18 that night, and we get in the bus to go back, and we're all hammered, man. And we're sitting kind of in the back of the bus, and I start feeling something getting like wet. I'm like, what the hell? Like it's pissed. Like somebody's peeing. Like you can smell it. You could. It's warm, right? It's hitting you, but it's going out the window in the front of the bus, going back in the windows in the back of the bus where we're at. So I forget which one of the guys was. A big dude, Force Recon guy, big black guy. He gets up, goes to the front of the bus, and mind you, I'm remembering all this stuff like I was hazy at the time, right? But I clearly remember getting peed on, and I remember a Force Recon dude grabbing some pogue, the support guy, out of one of the front seats and beating the crap out of him for pissing on us.
Surprised they didn't throw him out of the bus.
I am too. He's still a Marine. You're not going to kill him. Just but I remember him beating the crap out of this guy. And, dude, what was that? Like, freaking dude pissed on us, And so I act like I was mad too, It's like, I was. I didn't want to get pissed on, but I wasn't quite as mad as this guy was to go beat the crap out of him, because, I'm more drunk than mad. But yeah, that's how I turned 18 years old. Yeah, that's one of my. I noticed when your list of questions you gave before the show was one of the fondest memories. I've got a lot of crazy fond memories of that, but having those guys like
getting peed on in a bus, drunk.
Yeah, not really know that I had a need and everything else, and being like,
no, that's awesome.
Shaw's not going to be in there by himself, like standing at Firewatch, man. We got him, and having one of the Force cats like take my Firewatch, that's a respect thing that they gave me, and like it was awesome. And that was definitely one of my fondest memories when I turned 18 years old.